Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, which as it turns out this week has really become the Metallica takeover week on my channel. I feel like I may have some new viewers this week because I've put up quite a few videos. So hello to everybody, whether you're new or returning. Everybody is welcome and thank you for watching. I've got a lot to talk about today and I should start by saying this video is by request. And where can I go from there? Well, today for me, and I'm not sure which order this video is going to put in. The way I have it planned, it should be up. This video should be up on Thursday, which is September 25th. There will be another. I've had a Metallica video on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This should be Thursday. There should be another one for you tomorrow. That's already in the can. That's already taken. That was also a request. I'm not sure about the order, but this should be Metallica video number 4 of 5 for this week, and I'm going to see them again on Friday the 27th. So there should be more next week, maybe with a little variety, and there might be a few surprises as well. So to start today, as I said, this is a request. This is a request for Mauricio, my friend Mau in Mexico City. Now, to go back a little bit farther, the reason that I went to this Metallica concert on Sunday, September 22nd, and the reason why I'm going to another one on Friday, September 27th, is because of your generosity, the people who donated. A couple of weeks ago, I put out a video saying, you know what, Metallica is arguably my favorite or second favorite band, and you know, I don't think I can afford to go see them this time, and I've been suffering through some other crap, work-related, financially related, personal related, crime related. I didn't commit any crimes, I was the victim of a crime. And I just wasn't feeling very good about what was going on in my life. And I'm still not, but at least I'm trying to get through it. And going to Metallica concerts really helps. So thank you again to the people who donated. And I'm gonna probably thank them every time I mention these concerts for the rest of my life. And that is Mauricio, as I mentioned, in Mexico City. Jonathan in Tepic, Nayarit. I think Tepic is the capital of, I know he's from Nayarit State, which I think is the capital of Tepic. Anyway, Jonathan donated. Dallas in Saskatoon, my good friend Dallas in Saskatoon, Canada. Chris from Las Vegas. Brian from Toronto, another Canadian. And Randy, Mr. Randy, Randers as I like to call him. Thanks to those guys, 2 each from the 3 countries that comprise North America, Canada, United States, and Mexico. Thank you to those guys. You really came through. I was embarrassed a little bit and kind of like, oh, what if I make this video asking for people to help me and get donations and nobody, you know, comes through, and then I look like a jackass. But you really came through, and I'm going to start paying you back. I'm not giving you your money back, but I'm going to pay you back by request. So as I said, if you donated, I would do anything you want to do a video request. Mauricio said he wanted me to do a video, a review of the concert. Now, I don't know what this video is going to be called on YouTube. I don't really like the word review. To me, it sounds kind of arrogant and, I don't know, self-important. And I guess that's what it is. It's more like I'm going to talk about my experience at the concert. Not the whole day. That's going to be, stay tuned for tomorrow. Tomorrow was another request, which is already in the can. And that should be up in your time if you're watching this today, Thursday. It'll be up tomorrow, Friday. Some of you might really like that one. It's a different one. I've never done a video like that before, I don't think. And so this one is from Mauricio. He wanted me to review the concert, which I'm going to do right now. So getting to the concert, I've got a lot of notes here, and I'm going to try to not move the table because I don't want to shake the camera. I noticed in the last video I did, there was a lot of shaking of the camera, so I'll try to be delicate. So I'm not sure, and I just wrote these notes in the order that I thought of them, and I'm not sure in which order I'll talk about that. You know what, I'm going to start with my shirt. You notice I'm wearing this shirt, Mexica, and it's got the Metallica snake logo, but this is, and maybe I don't know too much about Mexican history or Mexican mythology to talk about, but this is, the snake in Mexico is called, either in the Maya world, it's Kukulkan, and I think in Azteca or other parts of the country, same snake, same everything, just a different name. It's Quetzalcoatl. So that's what this is, and it's Mexica. I got this shirt. Speaking of donations, there was a guy when I was at the concert on Sunday. A guy recognized me from my channel, And he had designed this shirt. He designed the logo and the snake with the Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan face. And he showed me on his phone in the Metallica DVD. God, this is going to be such a long, stupid video. I'm meandering already. The Metallica, when they played in Mexico City in 2009, they did a DVD called Pasión, Orgullo y... I can't remember it in English either. It was Pride, Passion, and something. I don't remember. But in that video, he showed me, he made this shirt, he designed it, and he gave one to Robert Trujillo. And in the video, Robert is wearing it, and he showed me the picture of that. So anyway, so he saw me, he recognized me from my channel, and he had some shirts, and he gave one to me. So thank you to that guy too. I don't know his name. He was with his friend. His friend's name was David, and David introduced the guy who gave me the shirt as hermano, like his brother. I don't know, but thank you to that guy if you're watching. Cool shirt, very cool, and uniquely Mexico. So that's one thing I can cross off the list here. I'll try to kind of keep this in somewhat chronological order. So that was the first thing. That was before the concert started. Now this concert was at Foro Sol. I mean, it's been called Foro Sol since it opened in like 2000, but recently it was renovated and renamed. It's such a long name. Estadio GNP Seguro, I think is what it's called. Instead of just Foro Sol, it's got like 85 syllables in it. I think everybody's just going to call it Foro Sol. It's the first corporate name of this facility, this stadium. I've been to this concert, to many concerts at this building, at this stadium. It's 50 to 60,000 people, depending on the configuration. Now they closed it, I think it was about a year ago for renovations. And I don't know if Metallica was the first one to open it up, because I remember it reopening about a month ago. They said it was finished, but I'm not sure if there was a concert after it finished renovating a Metallica. But it was the first one for me since it was renovated. Much, much better, I have to say. That place always sucked, and to some extent it always will suck. You can't dress up a pig, I think is what they like to say. And it's a big concrete structure, and the horseshoe-shaped gradas or patacas, like the stands, they were never seats. They were just like concrete benches. So you don't actually sit in a seat. You just sit on a bench, and there's paint designated the seats like this. And it wasn't a very nice place. It wasn't welcoming at all. They've, at least from what I saw, the biggest renovation visually they've put, and it was completely open like this, 100% open. They've put, it's not a roof on it, but kind of an overhang. It probably just overhangs. Maybe the overhang is 3, 4, maybe 5 meters. So unless you're sitting in the very top 10 rows of any section, you're still going to get soaking wet if it rains, or burned to a crisp if it's sunny. So that's a nice, and it just makes it look a little bit more professional too. It makes it look more like a stadium. As much as you can make a 60,000 stadium cozy, it makes it feel a little bit cozier. So that's one thing. Now the other big thing for Metallica, at least, normally the stage would be, so the stadium is like I said, like a horseshoe shape like this. And normally the stage would be down here at the open end, which would be the east end of it. And then, the crowd sits around in a horseshoe like this, and then the floor is open. But since Metallica, since their stage is in the center of the floor, they put at the end where the stage normally is, they've built temporary, I guess just for Metallica, a temporary, like a grandstand, which probably holds 5, 6, 7, 8,000 people, 2,000, I don't know. And it's pretty big. And that was where my seats were. I had never been in that part of the stadium before, because that's where the stage is. So this is kind of a new view for me, which is pretty cool too. And I have to say the renovations from when I saw it were pretty good. The bathrooms, man, it was like the hotel. It was like the bathrooms in a hotel. Very nice. You could, eat maple walnut ice cream off the floor. The bathrooms were so nice. I could have taken, and I should have taken a video tour of the bathroom floor as well. Very, very, very nice. So there's that. Let's see, where can I go next? So I was sitting in there. Now, I had, thanks to Mauricio, he donated a ticket to me. There were, I think, 40 rows in the grandstand, and there were, I think, 6 or 8 sections. So you can do the math, and there were, I think, also 40 rows vertically, and I think also 40 rows horizontally by 8 sections, I think 6 or 8 sections, so do the math. I was in row 37, which is 3 rows from the top, which is not so bad. I mean, being up high, you get a, you're kind of looking down on it, and because the stage was in the center of the stadium, pretty much everybody around the whole stadium had the same view, more or less. So I was up in row 37, and I watched Ice Nine Kills, the opening band, more on them later, and Five Finger Death Punch, also more on them later. And I was sitting there, and a woman came up, and she went to pass me, and I stood up, and she said, "Are you Dan?" I said, "Yeah, how do you know?" And I guess the person, God, you're not going to care about this, but I want to document this for my own satisfaction. So I guess the ticket that Mauricio donated to me, I think he knew a guy, I don't know if it was a friend of his, but he knew a guy who had some extra tickets, or an extra ticket, 2 extra tickets, something. So I guess Mauricio bought it from him, and then the guy transferred it from his Ticketmaster account to my Ticketmaster account, got it, no problem, everything was good. So I guess who this woman was a friend of the guy. I guess they were all supposed to be together. The guy who transferred his ticket to me, and this woman whose name is Sophia, and her husband whose name is Oscar. I think they were all supposed to come together, but this guy couldn't come, as it turned out, Sophia, because he had to go to Spain or Portugal or something like that. So I got his ticket, but it was very strange to have somebody, this woman come up and say, "Are you Dan?" She knew my name. So that was pretty cool, and they were nice. I talked to them for quite a while between bands and kind of during the bands, and it was nice to have somebody to talk to, because I went to the show by myself. Now, getting to the opening bands, Ice Nine Kills and Five Finger Death Punch. I'd never heard Ice Nine Kills, never even heard of them until they were touring with Metallica. And normally when that happens, I would investigate a band, because and it's very rare that I miss opening bands. A lot of people think they're too cool to watch the opening band, but it's pretty rare that I skip an opening band, whether I like them or not. Maybe because I'm Canadian, I feel like it's rude. It would be disrespectful to not watch a band who's working and up there on the stage. So I'd never heard of them. Now, I didn't really know I was going to go to this concert until about 2 weeks ago, and I guess maybe that's why too. So I didn't know anything about Nine Inch Nails. I didn't know anything about Ice Nine Kills. Didn't know what kind of music they played. Didn't even know what they looked like. Nothing. Knew the name. That's it. I don't know. I still don't know how many albums they have or anything like that. So they sucked, man. I really didn't like them. They were stupid. They were goofy, man. They were just. They all wore like suits and with ties and black suspenders, white shirts, bow ties. I think 1 or 2 of them had bow ties. They're wearing like dress pants. And I don't care about that, but when you put it all together with these other things I'm going to talk about, it just doesn't add up. And I got the impression also from listening to them that their music, and I'm not accusing them of anything, and I don't have any evidence, but just it seemed like, I feel like they were getting some help. Something music piped in or backing something or something. I have no idea if that's true or not. It just seemed very, and it could have been the stage too, because there's no amplifiers on the stage, there's no speakers, there's no equipment, so maybe that just mentally, throws you off a little bit. But musically, I don't really care about their music. I have nothing against it, but it just wasn't for me. But their music combined with their look, and they also had a couple of, I don't know, like a zombie and a Texas, like a Leatherface Texas chainsaw guy. And during various songs, the chainsaw guy was running around the stage chasing people, and the zombie was running around, and they kind of do these choreographed moves and everything. And it was just really, really goofy, and I didn't like it at all. I guess it was, I watched it, I paid attention to it, but I was just kind of shaking my head like this, like an old man. I think that's what I am. Maybe I'm an old man. But I didn't like Ice Nine Kills at all. Yeah, Ice Nine Kills. I wasn't sure if I got their name right. So I didn't care about them. And then Five Finger Death Punch played. Now I've known them for years. I had never heard a note of their music. I know they exist as a band. They've been around for quite some time. I had the general idea what kind of music they play, and it was pretty much exactly how I thought it would be. And I didn't really like them either. They weren't as goofy as Ice Nine Kills, but it's just not the kind of music that I listen to. but they were just a band. They didn't have zombies or horror, characters or anything like that, and nobody with chainsaws. You know what else? What I didn't like about both of those bands, and I've talked about this before with friends. I'm sure I've never talked about it in a video. I really hate the way so many bands or singers in bands, frontmen, their banter that they say. They ask a lot of questions, really rhetorical questions, and it just drives me nuts. And it's just such a cliche. And they ask, and both these guys, Ice Nine Kills and the Five Finger Death Punch singers, they both ask the same questions, like, are you ready? I can't hear you. That's not a question, but can you hear me? Do you want to hear another one? Are you ready for Five Finger Death Punch? And how does it feel to be alive? Are you alive? I know James Hetfield kind of had that in his repertoire too. I'll give him a little bit of a pass. But they ask these goofy questions like, I don't want to take part in a survey. I just want to be at a concert. And also just the kind of, and I guess Five Finger Death Punch more than Ice Nine Kills, the tough guy, calling the crowd motherfuckers and you motherfuckers, and like this. And I was just rolling my eyes a lot and shaking my head and just, kind of going, oh, this is very, very cringy. I don't know. When I see them on Friday, it's going to be Greta Van Fleet and Wolfgang Van Halen, Mammoth, whatever you call them, opening up. I have higher expectations. I'm not a fan of either of those, but at least musically, I think I'll enjoy those two better. So let me cross that off my list. In terms of the weather, now, as I said, this stadium is pretty much wide open. The section that I was in was wide open. It did start to rain, I think it was right after Five Finger Death Punch, maybe during their last song or maybe just as they finished. Very, very light. Chippy chippy. Mexicans know what that is. Chippy chippy is just like spitting. And I felt a few drops. And I had a bag with my, I got it here. This is my tote bag. And I was very prepared for this concert. I had, and I wasn't, this was another thing about this concert. I didn't know if I'd be allowed to bring this in. Because, this is we're at the height of the rainy season. You're almost guaranteed it's going to rain. And it could get pretty cold in Mexico at night too, in Mexico City, which it did. It was like 14 degrees Celsius that night. And so but it's still warm, maybe 25, 26 during the day. So I was wearing a t-shirt during the day. Once the sun goes down, it gets pretty cold. So I brought a hoodie and a raincoat and a few other things, just, my sunglasses, things like that I had to keep in the bag. And I didn't know if they'd let me in, but they did. I talked about that a little bit in the video that's going to be up tomorrow. You'll see what happened as I went in with the tote bag. Such crap. And so I at first I was okay, and then it was a little bit more than chippy, not even drizzling or sprinkling, but a little bit. So and also it was getting a little bit cool, so I put the hoodie on, and then after maybe 10 minutes of very, very light rain, it started to be a little bit more consistent, and I did put my raincoat on. I probably didn't need it at that point, but I thought if the skies opened up and it just poured, I didn't want to get stuck. So I put the raincoat on. It was pretty good. And the rain continued. Isn't this interesting? The rain continued. It was almost perfect timing. It stopped and Metallica came on the stage. I don't know if it was planned that way. I mean, if they, said, well, we'll give it a couple of minutes, then go on the stage. Because I think Metallica did come on 12 minutes late. I did notice that they're scheduled to go on at 9, and they came on at 9:11 or 9:12. I don't know if that had something to do if they were extending it a little bit with the rain. But anyway, so the rain was not a factor. I was kind of worried. It would have been, for me, it would have been a pretty bad experience. It would have been pretty shitty if it had been a deluge or a downpour or something like that. But it was okay, and it didn't rain the rest of the night. It was actually a very nice night. Let me see what else. I'm making sure I don't repeat anything nor miss anything. Now, getting back to the grandstand that I mentioned, it's a temporary one, so it's it's temporary, and it's not nice to look at. It's just like like scaffolding, something like this. And during the last Five Finger Death Punch song, or second last song, I don't know if it was their hit or people seemed to know the song, because people got into it more. Nobody was jumping up and down, nobody was like stomping their feet or anything like that. But some people were doing this and kind of maybe tapping their toes or something like this. And the grandstand felt like this. It felt like it was swaying. And like when I first felt it, I was like, holy shit. And, you know, you hear about, and, you know, I've lived in Mexico for 18 years and I've seen a lot and I've heard a lot. And I felt like this is the kind of thing that you're going to read about in the news tomorrow. You know, 2,000 people killed in scaffolding, in you know, grandstand collapses at Metallica concert. And I wasn't really like thinking that's going to happen, but man, when it first started shaking, and I looked around, and I think I was the only person that noticed. It's kind of like I guess this has happened to everybody. If you're on a plane and you're flying, and all of a sudden you feel like the plane just kind of drops. It kind of felt like that, or like an earthquake. I've experienced, I think, around 15 earthquakes since I've lived here, and it felt like an earthquake, just like a swaying feeling. And I was like, man, this is, you know, I wasn't worried, but I just did think, I don't really like this feeling. And I remembered when I first saw, in Mexico, the first time I saw Metallica in the same stadium at Photosol in 2009, they opened with Creeping Death, and then the second song was Fuel. And during Fuel, the opening, give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire, and then the musical part, everybody in that whole stadium was jumping up and down and like, you know, pushing each other in the stands, everything. I've never seen anything like it. The building, now this was concrete, same thing. And I remember I was with my wife and we looked at each other and said, man, like this is, again, in Mexico, you know, things aren't always done properly. People cut corners in Mexico, and you do start to kind of think that. And it reminded me of that. Now, I don't know if that was what led to what I'm going to talk about next, but I wanted to move down to a lower part. I think that maybe the shaking maybe confirmed or you know, cemented, no pun intended, that I was going to move to a closer spot. But I've been thinking about that for a while. And so I thought, all right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it just as Metallica comes on when the lights go down. And I thought what I was going to do was jump the rail to go to the floor. And I remember I looked at the rail before I went up because I was kind of pre-planning this. And it was not high enough that I could have jumped. It would have been a 2-meter jump, maybe at the most. I thought I can do that, no problem, if it came to that. So before Metallica came on, just before, minutes before, because I wanted to wait until as late as possible. And then I thought when the lights go down and maybe security and everybody's maybe distracted or everybody's going crazy, nobody's going to notice the guy jumping the rail. And so I went down there, and as I got to the bottom, in the, I think it was the third row up from the floor, there was one empty seat right on the aisle, which was a great seat. So this was like, so I was in row 37, this was row 3. So I had moved up 34 rows, which is pretty good. But I was still elevated, I guess 2.5 meters above the floor, which is pretty good because you can see much better from there than on the floor. I thought this is even better if I can stay here, and then I don't have to worry about jumping the rail and possibly getting kicked out or anything like that. So I thought, but you know, maybe somebody's sitting here, they went up to go to the bathroom or to get something to eat or drink, and you know, they were going to come back when Metallica started. I ended up sitting there the whole time, and it was great. It was excellent. I'm going to be in a very different part of the stadium on Friday. Complete opposite. I'm going to be at the opposite end. This time I was close to the center. On Friday, I'm going to be at the opposite end, right in the corner, behind home plate. It used to be a baseball stadium. So I'll be behind home plate, up near the top also. So that's that. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything. No, I think that's it, at least as far as my my concert experience. And you know what? I'm gonna go through the concert track by track in the spirit of I want to talk about this album. I'm gonna go through all the songs Metallica played briefly. We'll see. So about Metallica themselves, as a live band, I first saw Metallica on January 19th, 1985, and I've seen them many times since. And you can make a pretty strong argument for Metallica being the best live band ever. This is not your opinion or my opinion. Just in terms of they've never really had, when you see these, if anybody watches or follows or reads Blabbermouth, every week, couple of times a week, you see these headlines about so-and-so guitarist was drunk, like Perry Farrell and Dave Navarro had that fight a couple of weeks ago, or the singer was drunk and he was falling off the stage, or the guitarist was, I don't know, something and he couldn't play. You never ever hear that about Metallica. They're just very, very pro. I don't think they ever have off nights. I guess they make mistakes, but they're pretty rare. They've never had a bad tour. You know, some people say, yeah, Kiss on the Crazy Nights tour. I'll say that. That was not very good. Or so-and-so Judas Priest on the Turbo tour. That was not a very good tour. I don't think Metallica's ever had a tour where people rallied against them or railed against them. I'm not sure which word is correct, but they've never had a period in their lives. People may hate their music, but as a live band, even I think when a lot of people hated their music, you could still say Metallica is a great, great live band. I guess they've got the songs, they've got the energy, combination of that, and they've got, I mean, they're not Rammstein with that much pyro, but you know, they've got good stage production. They're just very, very professional, Metallica. There's that. They're just very, very professional. The sound, every time I see Metallica, they sound great, including this past week on Sunday. The sound was incredible. I could pick out every instrument, and the opening band sounded good too. I guess that's I'm sure more than anything the people working there, and also your seat rather than the venue itself. People talk about, oh, the sound of that venue sucks. I don't know if that's true or not, because I've seen shows at Photosol, the stadium. I saw Iron Maiden there. I've seen Iron Maiden there probably six times anyway. I'm going to see them again. No, not 6, maybe 4 or 5. I'm going to see them again in November. When I saw them there in 2009 and 2011, 2 of the worst sounding concerts I've ever heard. Just awful. But I saw Black Sabbath there in 2013, I think. And maybe still one of the best, at least for big stadium shows or arena shows. Black Sabbath was incredible. And Iron Maiden also in 2013. So I don't know what it is, but Metallica sounded great this night. Is that all? And just another thing about Metallica in general, I think another reason why they're just so good is James Hetfield is, you know, I guess he doesn't get credit for being the front man, because when people talk about great frontmans, you think of the guy who, not just who talks to the crowd, but who's, you know, running around and controlling the crowd and everything, and you typically don't think of those people as having a guitar over their shoulder. You think of Freddie Mercury, David Lee Roth, I don't know who else people would say, I don't know if anybody would say Ozzy, but man, Hetfield really, really commands the stage. And he's just great at getting the crowd into it. He's got, you know, the songs that maybe, he makes Metallica songs anthemic. A lot of hey, 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 which he kind of brings out of the crowd. Love Metallica live. And my favorite concert ever in my entire history of going to concerts, which is 40 years this year, 1984, April 25th was my first concert. My favorite concert, I think, ever out of all those was Metallica on the Master of Puppets tour, headlining in Toronto. They've always been a great band. So I think that's all. So I think I can go through the track by track now. And I'm gonna try not to do this, and I gotta use my backup phone for this. I'm gonna try not to do it as the songs, what I think about the songs themselves, but rather the songs, the live versions of the songs. Because for some songs, there is a big difference. I'll talk about Fuel, because they didn't play it. I don't really like Fuel on the record, but when they play Fuel live, for me it's a highlight. I wish they played Fuel at every show. I don't think I would complain about that. So I'll try to make the distinction and focus on each song live. So they opened with Whiplash, and I did know, everybody knew, I think, what these songs were going to be, because they basically, even though they're calling it a no repeat weekend, which it is, Friday and Sunday are totally different, they basically have setlist A and setlist B, and they don't change too much. I think maybe in some shows they swap out 1 or 2, maybe 3 songs, but this set that they played on Sunday was identical to the second show that they played in what was the last in Seattle, and then I think before that was Chicago. So there were no surprises, but anyway, so they opened with Whiplash, and I've heard Whiplash many times live at Metallica concerts. This is the first time I've heard it as the opening song. It was a little bit strange as an opening song. It's good because it is fast, and typically metal bands, especially thrash bands, they open with a fast song or maybe a thrashy song. So Whiplash is appropriate for there. It was a little bit odd though, just hearing Whiplash out of nowhere and I think not even a count in. I guess they're hearing it. I guess there's a click or a cue or something that they're hearing in their in-ear monitors that you know, signals the start of the song. But there's no count in by Lars or anybody else, or maybe it's done on the stage. I don't know. But yeah, so they open with Whiplash, and that's another one, as I just mentioned, that Hetfield really gets the crowd going. You know, the part. Here we go. Before that, I guess that's after the second verse and then the second choruses. And Hetfield is hey, hey, and the crowd is really into it. So Whiplash was pretty cool. Not my favorite opening song from Metallica, but it was pretty good. Next was For Whom the Bell Tolls. And just as I was going to the concert, when I was on my way there on early in the afternoon or late morning, whenever it was, I was texting with my friend Kevin, and I said, there was another song, And For Whom the Bell Tolls. I said, man, those two songs, I can never get sick of them. They're just fucking awesome, those songs. And he said, yeah, he's like 2 years older than me. He's been listening to Metallica almost as long as me, and he's seen them way more times than I have. And he said, yeah, he can never get sick of those songs. For Whom the Bell Tolls, both the record and live, are just top Metallica songs. And this one is another one. And Hetfield has, hey, 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 hey. Amazing. Any version of For Whom the Bell Tolls is fantastic. And next is Ride the Lightning. This is another one with Hetfield, you know, which sounds very wimpy when I sing it like that. And then the Hetfield has, hey, hey, again, the crowd is really into it. And it's got that fast part in the middle. It's not, I love Ride the Lightning, the song. It's not one of my favorite ones. Like, I like For Whom the Bell Tolls way better. But Ride the Lightning is anything from that era of Metallica is always a welcome for me. Next was Until It Sleeps. I was very, very happy to hear Until It Sleeps. In this same spot, in the fourth slot, in the first night, or setlist A, they do King Nothing from Load, and their setlist B, what I call it, was Until It Sleeps. I would take Until It Sleeps for sure. I love Until It Sleeps. That's one of the great Metallica songs, I think, not ever, but of that era. Live, it wasn't to me any really different live, but I really like Until It Sleeps, and I was very happy to hear it. Next is Lux Eterna. Now, what I didn't really like about this was, and this is one of the songs, I'm not a big 72 Seasons fan. There's one song that I love, like to me it's like, that's what I like about Metallica. And then there are about, I think, 3 songs that I like, and then the rest of them are just kind of, they're just there. Lux Eterna is one that I like, but what I didn't like about it live is, and Metallica has a lot of songs like this, that the intro to the song, they don't play it live. It's played over the PA. I'm not talking about an intro like the acoustic guitar in Battery or Fight Fire with Fire, or that kind of intro into Damage Incorporated or Blackened, something like that. I'm talking about actual music where the band was playing on the record and then it gets piped in over the PA. And when I saw them in 2009, they had like 5 songs that had that. The beginning of And Justice for All, Dyer's Eve, All Nightmare Long. I think there were 1 or 2 more. I think, why don't you play it live? It just, for me, it would seem a lot better. So the intro to Lux Eterna is not played live. I don't know why. I mean, and then the band obviously comes in. I find that a little bit distracting, but it's a good song. I like Lux Eterna, and the crowd was really into it. Probably of the new songs, they were more into Lux Eterna than anything, maybe because it's like a real, kind of like an old school sounding song. Next was Screaming Suicide. This is one, it's from 72 Seasons. I don't really care about it too much. It was, I mean, on the record and live, it was fine. That's all I have to say about that. Next was, they do these little, they call them doodles. Kirk Hammett and Robert Trujillo do these little doodles, which have, I guess they used to be kind of like solos. Kirk would do one and Robert would do one. But I think on this tour, they've kind of done them together. And it seems that they do kind of like a song, whatever city they're in, they do a song like a cover of a song who's from that city or that country. I know in Canada they did Working Man by Rush at one of the shows in Edmonton, or maybe it was in Vancouver. And so at the first show, they did a song called La Chona, which I'd never heard before, and I didn't even know who sings it. Oh, it's Tucanes de something. I didn't know it. I just saw people talking about it the next day. And this night, the Kirk and Rob Doodle, and they're pretty good. Actually, I think they're much, much better, more fun and more entertaining than just a solo. They did a song. Now, I didn't know this when they played it, but as soon as and it's always a surprise because it's different every night, the crowd went crazy. And it's by a band called Caifanes, which I knew they would do a Caifanes song at some point in these 4 shows. But it was a song called La Negra Tomasa. I had never heard it before, but everybody seemed very, very, it's a very famous song, I guess, and everybody was pretty happy. And it was kind of fun. It was really cool to hear that. Next was Welcome Home, parentheses, Sanitarium. Now, the noticeable thing about this one is, or notable, Kirk butchered the intro solo. You know, there's that really cool solo in the first minute or minute and a half of the song. I wouldn't say he butchered it. It just sounded like he didn't like miss a few notes or fuck it up. It sounded like he just kind of played a lot of it wrong. At least that was my ears at the concert. When I guess when because you know Metallica releases all their shows professionally live, and maybe when I hear it, maybe I'm going to say, oh, maybe it's not as bad as I remember it. But when I was listening to it live, I was going, oof, oh, you're playing the wrong notes, Kirk. It's wrong. It's wrong. And he kept, it wasn't just like a little bit, he kind of kept doing it wrong. I don't know if it was as bad as I thought it was, but I feel like that whole, or almost that whole intro part, he didn't play it correctly. And not like he was, I got the impression he wasn't, you know, changing it. He wasn't like improvising. I got the feeling that he fucked it up. I'll have to listen to that. I don't know how long it is before the audio comes out, a couple of weeks, I guess, but I'll be curious to hear the intro solo that Kirk played in Welcome Home, Sanitarium. But that's another one I love, and I think the crowd is always going to love. I personally, and I think everybody else in the crowd, feels the same way. Those old songs, the first 3, let's say first 4 albums, everybody's going to really, really get into that, including this one, Sanitarium. Just Leave Me Alone. Next was Wherever I May Roam. I like Wherever I May Roam. Actually, I like it a lot. Now, when I see Metallica, you know, who changes up their set list, not as much as Pearl Jam, but they're pretty good with making changes. So for me, there's some songs that, especially older songs, that even if I don't like them, I kind of like hearing them if I'm hearing them for the first time before. I mean, if I'd never heard them before and I'm hearing them for the first time. So Wherever I May Roam, I hadn't heard that until I saw them on the last tour, on the Hardwired tour. They played it. I went to 2 shows on that tour, and that was both at Photosol in Mexico City at the same stadium. And they played Wherever I May Roam, and I was very happy to hear it. And I didn't quite enjoy it as much the other night as I did the first time, but still pretty good. I really like Wherever I May Roam. And of course, the crowd is into that one too, because it comes from a massive album. Next, I gotta open my phone every time. Next was The Call of Cthulhu. This was also the first time I've ever heard the song live, as far as I can remember. Maybe when I saw them in 1985 on the Ride the Lightning tour, they played it. I don't think so. I don't think they played Call of Cthulhu live until years after, although I could be wrong. But so that was another, and I don't really love Call of Cthulhu. I know that's blasphemy to say that about Call of Cthulhu or Orion or To Live Is to Die. I've mentioned many, many times, I'm generally not a big fan of instrumentals, especially these long ones. It's, 8 or 9 minutes. I think you've got James Hetfield in the band. I want to hear him sing. But it was, so I don't particularly enjoy the song, but it was cool to hear that, for me, live for the first time. Next was The Unforgiven, and I've never heard The Unforgiven live. And I like that song too. Obviously I got bored of it at some point, but for me, I did enjoy hearing The Unforgiven. Next was Inamorata. This is from 72 Seasons. It's the longest song in the Metallica catalog, and everybody was freaking out over it. I think a lot of fans have a tendency to automatically like a song. Metallica is very formulaic. Their records are, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they really, really do have a formula, and they do it very, very well. So when they put out a new album and you see the last song is called Inamorata, and then you see the time of it, and it's like 11 or 11 and a half minutes, And typically the last songs on Metallica albums are kind of epic and often I think fan favorites. So automatically you think, oh, Inamorata is going to be like that too. And I didn't think so. I thought it was okay when I listened to it when it first came out. And I listened to it again last week and maybe a few times here and there in the 2 years that album came out, or a year and a half. And it's okay. I guess just like Screaming Suicide and some of the other songs on 72 Seasons. I guess if I was going to hear one song on here that I don't really care about, I guess I would like it to be Inamorata, because it does have a kind of a cool feeling to it. And Hetfield introduced it as, he said this is a long one. He said it's pretty heavy, and then they played it. 4 more. Next was Hardwired. Mixed feelings about this one. First of all, I love Hardwired. The song Hardwired, not to be confused with Hardwired ellipsis to Self-Destruct, which is the title of the album. Hardwired, the song, man, that's for me a modern day Metallica classic. That's how, man, it's fast, furious, angry, intense. It's got attitude. I love Hardwired, but in that spot, they sometimes play Battery and Blackened. Now, on the set list from previous shows, they had done Battery or Blackened, and those are two of my favorites to hear live. I haven't heard Battery since 1990 or 91 or something, and it's one of my favorite Metallica songs ever, and I was thinking, oh man, play Battery, play Battery, play Battery. Or even Blackened. Blackened is also one of my top songs, and I've heard that live quite a few times. I've heard Battery live too, it has been a long time. But Blackened I've heard the last 2 or 3 times I've seen Metallica. So I thought, okay, Battery is my hope. Blackened would be very good too. I didn't even consider Hardwired. I had no idea. And so after Inamorata, the stage goes dark and they're off the stage. And I was going, okay, let's hear some acoustic guitar. It's going to be Battery. And then on the towers, they had these images kind of coming in and out of the Mexican flag. I thought, okay. And then I heard some music or sound. I thought, all right, this is not Battery, but it's also not Blackened. It wasn't that kind of, guitar intro to Blackened. And then it got louder and louder, the intro to Hardwired. And to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed, even though I love Hardwired. But I really, really had my mind and my heart set on Battery or Blackened. I would have preferred either of those. But yeah, I do love Hardwired. So yeah, a little bit of a disappointment, but a good disappointment. And the crowd went crazy for Hardwired. It is a really, really good song. As I said, it's got all those great elements of classic Metallica. So a little bit of a mixed bag with Hardwired. Oh, and next was, staying with the same album, Hardwired ellipsis to Self-Destruct, was Moth into Flame. I love Moth into Flame. Hardwired ellipsis to Self-Destruct. It's not my favorite Metallica album, obviously, but there are some great songs on it, and Moth into Flame is one of them. And it was very enjoyable for me. I liked hearing it, even though I heard them do it a couple of times when I saw them on the Hardwired tour. And I maybe would have preferred something else from Hardwired, which I think they're only doing Moth into Flame and Hardwired. I think that's it from that album. But yeah, Moth into Flame is good. The crowd was really, really into it. That was the only song, I think, that had pyro. And then there was a little bit, not flames or not fire during one of the last song, but yeah, explosions. But I think this was the only song that had like fire. And I guess in that same spot on the alternate set list, they play Fight Fire with Fire or Fuel, which I'm sure also both have fire. But yeah, Moth into Flame was good, and the crowd really went into it, which when everybody around you is into it, that kind of makes you enjoy it more too. And 2 more. Next was One. Of course, One had that great introduction that they've had, I guess, since the song came out, and I saw them on that tour, on the Justice for All tour. I don't think I ever got tired of One at any point in my life. It's overplayed. They always play it live. The video was on all the time back at the time that it was a new video. It's a hit as far as Metallica goes. They played it on awards shows. I don't think I ever got tired of it. I love it on the record, and I especially love it live. The crowd is really into it. Yeah, One is fantastic. No complaints at all about One. Love it every time. And then the last song in this set list was Enter Sandman. And you know what? I don't mind Enter Sandman. I'm deathly tired of it. I don't think it's a song that I would ever choose to listen to, especially the Black Album version, not because it's bad, but just because I just don't need to hear it, because I always hear it. I listen to a lot of live Metallica, and when this concert comes out, I will get it. And, you know, in the course of the concert, I don't mind hearing it at all. I actually quite enjoy it. The crowd is really into it. And then at the end, they've got the, and also at the beginning, the big explosions and everything. But yeah, I have no problem with Enter Sandman. It wouldn't bother me if I went to a concert and they didn't play it. But I can't complain. You hear about these people that are obviously much cooler than I am who say, I left. As soon as Enter Sandman started, I walked out of there, even if it was, you know, the opening song. And I don't feel that way at all. I think Enter Sandman, it's a great song. You're just tired of it. Don't confuse being tired of a song with thinking the song sucks. So that's it. That's my Metallica review, recap, rundown, any other R word you want to say. And just the last thing about the concert in general, you know, they have this enormous giant stage. It's like a big ring. And sometimes the four of them all play together. Obviously, this is very, very well rehearsed. Nothing is random in this show. I think it's very, very, very well rehearsed. But there are some songs where, and there were 2 or 3 drum sets, or I don't know if they were, probably 2 sets, but in different locations. I think there were 4. I think Lars plays on 4 locations. Probably, I don't know if there are 4 drum sets. But you know, for some songs, Lars is here, Hetfield is here, Kirk is here, and Trujillo is here. And I found that a little bit distracting sometimes. You know, I just, and maybe it's stupid, maybe it's a mental thing, but to me, I like to see a band kind of playing close together, which they did for several songs. To me, that's just a little bit more visually appealing. Instead of going, there's Hetfield, and where's Kirk? I don't even see Kirk. He's behind the tower, so I can't see him. It's a little bit distracting for me. But overall, man, I'm so happy that I went to the show, and thank you again to those that I mentioned: Dallas, Brian, Chris, Randall, Jonathan, Mauricio. Thank you to you guys, and thank you. I'm going to go again on Friday. Again, thanks to you guys. I just can't. I would have been just so sad. Maybe I would have even cried if I hadn't seen Metallica on this tour. So I'm very happy, and I feel good in my life, and just about some other things in general. It was a real pick me up, and I had a great day too, which will be talked about more tomorrow. I don't want to say too much, but that's it for my Metallica recap. I have an idea to do another one it's going to be the 3rd concert, which is going to be my 2nd concert of this 4-night run. I think I can't do that until after the concert. I don't want to do this again. It's kind of boring to just do the same thing. Maybe I will, but I have an idea to do something similar to this, but related to the 2nd concert. All right, so maybe stay tuned for that. And to plug my channel, you maybe saw I did a bootleg merchandise video that went up on Monday. Then if my schedule stays the way it's supposed to stay, the official merch video would be up Tuesday. I did a live video of Ride the Lightning. I just did the one video live. I don't want to stand there all night taking videos the whole night, but I did do one video of Ride the Lightning, the song. And so you can watch those. And please tune in next week. It's going to be the 2nd Metallica takeover. And then after that, I'll get back to my boring crap of hiking, and I want to talk about this album. This is a little break from I want to talk about this album. So thank you for watching, and thank you again to the donors who helped me realize everything. And I hope you know that I want you to know that I really had a great time. Your money and your donations went to really good use, and I'm trying to pay it back by doing these silly videos that you're asking for. And there will be more of those. No, you know what? I want to talk about this album. That might not continue in 2 weeks because I'm going to have to do these video requests too. So that's fine. A little bit of a break. But again, thank you very much for everybody who's watching and for everybody who donated. And I'll see you soon. Bye.